texture and looking at artist research. Here's some resources you might need.
Okay, I'm going to create a piece of work in response to Kurt Schwitters. This is my second artist that I looked at, and the reason that I chose this artist to research is because I've found his work really interesting. It looks to me that he uses lots of different types of paper to create different textures, and then in some of his work he also uses mixed media over the top and some tangible pieces over the top as well to make it really tangible, really textural. So even by the way that I have presented my research, I have considered the different textures that he would use in his work as well. And yeah, I'm going to keep that to hand so as I can keep referring to it as I'm working on my own piece. I'm working on A5 and I'm going to keep it portrait because that is what this artist did for most of the time. So the materials that you're going to need if you are looking at Kurt Schwitters yourself, the materials that I'm going to need are very similar to Huang Gui, a variety of different sugar paper. And what I've done is I've selected colours purposely looking at his work, so different colours that he would use in his own work. And again, this is a great paper to work with because it's got a slight coarse texture to it, so it makes it nice to work with. And that's that. I'm going to use some tissue paper. Again, my tissue paper is the similar colours to colours that Kurt Schwitters chooses to use. And this is quite a nice medium for layering as well, I found. I have got some corrugated card just to create that real height, and some cardboard as well, so some flatter cardboard again to create that height. And this is great for layering as well. Also the colour is good to keep the muted tones of the palette. I'm probably going to use my packaging recycled paper and also my parcel paper as well, and some newspaper. So newspaper is brilliant for adding some interest to your piece. Any kind of text is great for this kind of work because it gives the viewer something to really focus on, and makes them want a closer look. Okay, so what I have found is Kurt Schwitters uses lots of other materials in his work as well, so not just flat materials. I may use some string, I may use some fabric, so I have some Hessian, and I can see that in some of these pieces he uses Hessian here, so I'm probably going to use some of that. I have some canvas, which is a nice textured thick material, and I have some linen as well, so probably an old curtain or something, but that's really nice to paint over the top of. I may use that again. Just gone with sort of black and white. And then what I found, having looked at Kurt Schwitters in more detail, I found that he uses some recycled envelopes, like old letters, what seems to be some kind of wallpaper or wrapping paper, lots of different old pieces of correspondence as well. So I've just gathered a few bits and pieces, but this is a great artist to look at if you're into recycling as well, because you can use all sorts of materials. So I've got some old envelopes here that I plan on using. I have some old, very old actually, checkbook pages, which I quite like the look of. They're quite interesting. An old receipt, a blank postcard, but I thought that was quite interesting. Some raffle tickets, playing card, and I thought this might be quite interesting as well. I'm not sure if I'll use it yet, but some old film. And then I have some different sponges for creating some marks over the top of the paper, but I'll go into a bit more detail with that later. And then I've also got some coffee stirrers or tea stirrers, and I just chose those because I can see that he uses some kind of like wooden structures in his work as well to really give it some height and interest. So I've got lots of different things to play around with. I've got no clear plan in my mind of what my composition will look like, but what I do plan on doing is just referencing the artist constantly, getting ideas. Again, I'm working on A5. You can work on any size paper you like. That's really your preference, but I'm going to just get some ideas from these pieces that I have selected to research. So I'm going to start with a really basic collage, and I'm going to do so by getting ideas on shape as well. So if I look at Kurt Schwitters now, I can see that he uses lots of squares, rectangles, lots of straight-sided shapes in his work, not a lot of curves. So I'm just going to get started with covering my page and then adding some shape to it. My advice when making any kind of collage or mixed media piece is really just to cover the white page, just cover it, because as soon as you do that, you'll start getting ideas with what to do next. When you're staring at a blank page, sometimes it's quite difficult to get started, so just cover it. This is what I've done so far. I've just covered my page with 2 different colours of sugar paper, just considering straight edges, because Kurt Schwitters uses straight edges, not a lot of torn areas that I can see, and then so now I'm happy. I've made a start, and what I'm going to now do is use all of my various different types of papers and materials, and then just try to get ideas from his work here. Okay, I think that I am going to leave that as it is. I'm really happy with that. I really enjoyed keep layering up all the different papers and textures, and I could probably carry on working on that for hours, to be honest. The next stage for this piece of work might be to add some different mediums over the top, so maybe some paint, some acrylic paint or some pastel, and then just try and create more texture with different mediums. But I'm actually happy with this, and I think I'm going to leave that one as it is. But this has given me lots of ideas on how I can then create some more textural collages, which I can then go on to work into. So yeah, take a look at Kurt Schwitters.